medications with sermorelin with the focus on muscle enhancement. Now let's talk about another equally common side effect or symptom of the GLP-1 medications, and that is energy fatigue. As mentioned before, the metabolic cost of losing weight increases the more the weight the patient has lost. As a result, many patients will encounter weight loss plateaus later in their weight loss journey. It's important to understand when to use sermorelin in the case of muscle wastage, and it's equally important to understand when to use NAD plus for energy gap. So, what is this concept of an energy gap? To understand that and understand what we can do to address it, let's take a look at another slide. In this one, it talks about NAD and GLP-1 medications, addressing the peak energy that's needed to overcome the energy gaps. So, what happens? As the metabolic cost of weight loss increases, the patient's metabolism starts to compensate. As you know, metabolism is an opportunity cost play. It's a finite amount of calories, of energy that the body has. The body has to distribute it in different ways. As the metabolic cost of weight loss increases, the body is forced to make certain compromises. As a result, the body may overextend itself, resulting in what's known as an energy gap. Fatigue, exhaustion, and declining motivations are common side effects of weight loss, more so seen among patients who misuse the GLP-1 medications and take more than they should. For those patients, you may see a rapid, aggressive weight loss plateau. That means the patient took too much too quickly, and the body simply said, I'm not willing to tolerate any more of the medications. So, for those who are not in that extreme, but under your care supervision and are taking GLP-1 medications in a closely regulated manner, as per the dosing schedule discussed in a previous section, NAD plus is the best way to overcome the energy gaps that you will see. So, what is NAD plus? It's not a peptide, it's a coenzyme. And NAD plus stands for nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide. It is used in the oxidative phosphorylation pathway in the mitochondria to help produce ATP. Now, if I'm going back to high school biology and recurring lots of memories in your mind, I apologize. But it's important to understand that NAD plus helps to boost the energy storage in the body. It's not a stimulant, it doesn't give you a burst of energy, but it prevents fatigue. And that is a critically important distinction to understand because by driving ATP production, you help optimize other biologic pathways like DNA repair that may come from a pro inflammatory state, brain health, and metabolic health by increasing the overall energy levels, by preventing the body from having to undergo those opportunity cost calculations that result in energy gaps. So, how does this work then? As mentioned before, NAD plus is a coenzyme, meaning the dose doesn't depend as much as other peptides. It still matters, but for patients with GLP-1 medications, energy fatigue, the NAD plus dosing matters less than the fact that the patient is actually getting the NAD plus. Now, how do they work together? Well, when the patient is starting on the GLP-1 medications, I typically like to wait at a minimum of 1 month before introducing the NAD plus. The reason being is the GLP-1 medications are accelerating the weight loss, forcing the body to implement an increased metabolic cost on the overall weight loss journey. Introducing the NAD plus only once the energy gap is noticeable helps to prevent any sort of dulling of the effects of the NAD plus. And that's critically important because when you purchase your NAD plus vial from Rise Health, you'll notice that it also comes in a lyophilized solution. What I typically like to do is inject around 5 mLs of bacteriostatic water, which is slightly more than you would otherwise. But injecting that amount what you allow is a fixed concentration of the NAD plus on a per injection basis. And that's important because NAD plus being a coenzyme is less concentration dependent than other peptides. The key thing here though is that you implement the NAD plus on a consistent basis. I typically like to start every other day, first thing in the morning, but for some patients, they may benefit every day. The key thing here is that in the same way you implemented a fixed regimen when introducing desermorelin, minimizing any sort of change, as I like to say, change one thing at a time, the same vein, you want to fix the fasting schedule and the diet in the patients before you introduce the NAD plus. Why? Well, the food and the fasting help to dictate the significance of the energy gap. The NAD plus helps to overcome the energy gap. So if you're going to adjust the diet and the fasting while introducing the NAD plus, you're introducing three variables and you're not quite sure which is optimizing the patient's energy gap. What you need to do is fix the diet, fix the fasting schedule, and then introduce the NAD plus because you want to stabilize the regimen and stabilize the potential benefits that the patient will see with the NAD plus. And by doing so, you're implementing the same principle that we discussed before, optimizing the care of the protocols by optimizing the biosignal feedback that you receive from the patient. So remember, just because NAD plus is a coenzyme and the dosing is not as dependent compared to the peptides, doesn't mean you should fail to adhere to the principle of focusing on changing one thing at a time. It's going to be critical in your success with the medications and critical with the care and oversight that you provide as a physician. Thank you.